I feel like we're in flow when you ask a question and it gets answered immediately. Whether that's by somebody saying, here's the answer, or your inner voice says, here's the answer, or somebody emails you or calls you, or somebody offers you something. And it's like when you're in flow, it happens instantaneously almost.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interests and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, dear listeners. Hello, dear Deb. How are you this fine day?
I jump in. Hi.
Greetings. Greetings, lovelies. So here we are with another awesome, and this is a goodie. I have to say that. I have to put that in there. This is a goodie. We always, every topic we have is a good one. But before we tell our listeners what we're going to talk about today, but as Deb always says, they already know because they can see it on the title.
But I pretend they don't know.
We'll just pretend. But we like to just do a wee check-in. We check in with ourselves and encourage our listeners to check in and give ourselves a number off a scale of 0 to 10. And at 10, you're like, everything's like chaos and not going right, and you're wondering what's your answers and where are they and will it ever get better? And then 0 is completely zen, at peace. Everything is fine in your world. So where would you put yourself, Deb?
Oh man, I forget about
she doesn't like it because now she is on the spot.
Okay, so before we started talking, pre-recording, I would have said I was a 5. Okay. Easily would have said I was a 5. I'm actually thinking I'm probably a 1.5 or a 2. I'm actually super excited because Moira and I have brainstormed some serious stuff before this.
Yep.
And it just lifted straight quickly out of, I'm probably going to say, maybe I'll just say 2. I'm probably actually a 1.5. I'm going to say 1.5. I'm not going to say 2 just to please someone. I'm going to say...
No, don't please someone.
I'm going to say
yours.
I'm going to say 1.5 because I feel, 1.5.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the 0.5 is, but it's a 1.5.
And you're so funny because, for me, I was going to say that as we came on talking today, I was going to put myself at a 3. I am. I was at a 3. And then, like you just said, we had such a great brainstorming session. I'm at a 1 on that. And then, but what's really funny is in my mind, I was like, well, maybe I'm 1.5 or 1 or 1.5 or 1. And then I heard you say it, so I'm not going to do that. So it's just, I'm a 1.
Okay, well, I'm a 1.25. Yeah, no, I'm a 1. Yeah, 1 or a 1.5. I don't know. Yeah.
But what's
the blonde and the brunette. Well done.
But what's really awesome is that we have a list of topics that we want to record episodes for, and I hadn't actually looked at this until at the end of our brainstorming session.
When we both dashed away to the toilet, the powder room.
Only to find out, though, that what our topic today is about what is being in flow. And it was like, oh my God. Well, what was being in flow was earwigging what Moira and Debz were talking about before we hit record.
Well, it's funny because I was just going to say, usually when we chat, And then we go, okay, quick, I'll go to the powder room and we'll get a drink and cough as we do and, get ourselves composed. And this time was the first time I actually said, what are we talking about? Because usually I don't think I've ever said, what are we talking about? And then I said, because I'm going to the toilet, because I'm going to the powder room, I'll think about it. And I said, what are we talking about? So you said, what is being a flow? And I just laughed and laughed and laughed. And then went, why am I even asking what we're talking about? Because usually I go, what are we talking about? Okay, yep, let's hit record, go. And right. So we're not actually, so just so people know, we don't sit here and each week make a list of the strategies we would like to put in play. It's literally, what's our topic? Hit record, cough, water, hit record, and away we go.
And then let's just riff.
Exactly, which is what we are when we do these podcasts. We're actually in flow. We go, okay, what's the topic? Mm-hmm. Bang, and away we go. But today I did go, what's the topic, so I can think about it? And I just laughed and went, I didn't think
she had to go and think about it while she was in flow.
yeah, exactly. And I don't even think I even entered my mind. Yeah, I don't even think I even thought about it. Yeah. I just know. When you know, you know. So you're going to say, what is being in flow? What is being in flow? When you know, you know.
Absolutely. No, and that's actually a really good way of saying it, is that when you know, you know. But so here's the thing, is when I feel like we're in flow when you ask a question and it gets answered immediately. Whether that's by somebody saying, here's the answer, or your inner voice says, here's the answer, or somebody emails you or calls you, or somebody offers you something. And it's like when you're in flow, it happens instantaneously almost, right?
So you don't have to think. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. When we are in flow, we are not getting caught up by the mental chatter of, oh my God, wait, what if I missed the opportunity, and if I got the wrong answer, and what would that person think of me if they knew that I didn't have it all together, or right? Then we're not in flow, because we are then getting too much into that ego monkey mind chatter. Then we ain't in flow, right? Because that sets up a really sticky, blocked energy, right?
And when you're not in flow is when that pile beside you gets higher and higher and higher of tasks to do.
Absolutely.
And you're like, yeah, I'm not in flow with that, and shite turns into chaos.
Absolutely. And you're not in flow when you sit down to do a task, and you've said to yourself, okay, at this time on this day, I have to do this task. And then you sit down and you kind of go, don't want to do this, or it's going to take me forever to get this done. Then you're not in flow. And that's actually almost like your inner wisdom saying, look over here, this is where you're supposed to be flowing. This is better alignment for your energy. And now that's not to say that task that created that resistance or that sort of sticky energy, maybe your energy was just not quite aligned, because you can go back. I will often do that. It's like sometimes when I'm got too much on that to-do list, sometimes the best thing for me to do is go for a walk in the woods.
Yeah.
And that's my flow at that point, right?
I was just talking about that yesterday with the client, lovely 14-year-old boy. And, he said, oh, I just want to sit down and do my study for my exams that are coming up, and I was like, oh, bless you, dear wee thing. And I said, what do you do for a break? He said, I don't. He said, I hold it in as much as I can. I don't. And I went, no, you've got to break that energy. He goes, I don't want to break the energy. I'm like, get on your trampoline for 5 minutes. Oh, I can't. Like that, I would lose everything. I'm like, no, you've got to get outside. Even just go outside and stretch, stand up, pat the dog, go to the toilet, don't race it, any of that. And I said to him, I said, have a drink. And he said, like what? He said, I don't drink beer. That's what he said. I don't drink beer. And I'm like,
no, I'm not saying. Mind would go.
I know. I don't even know if he's even touched beer. And I said, no, just drink water, drink something as a reward. Like he said, oh, I have my water bottle on me. I said, yeah, exactly. So you go to the kitchen and have something different, or drink out of a glass, but you're breaking that energy of getting out of your bedroom with your study zone.
Yeah. That's that pattern interrupt that can actually help you land into the present moment and see everything as fresh and new and flowing around you, right?
Yeah, so we think being in flow is you can't stop it. You can't stop whatever it is, like, and I think of an analogy with a fish going down the river.
Right.
It's much easier for a fish to flow down the river than turn around and go hard against the river. But you actually have to stop and pause and regroup your thoughts and go, is this okay? Because we know that you can sit and you can do a task and 3 hours have disappeared just like that. Absolutely 3 hours have disappeared. But if you can actually just even break that and then just get up and have a stretch and just feel your back and, stretch your shoulders right back so you can actually feel it in the back of your muscles down the middle of your spine, and then go, okay, now I'm ready to get back into it. And just
and take some big breaths when you're doing that. Deep,
oh my gosh,
deep
yes.
breaths. Yes.
But that is definitely not going to stop your flow.
No.
And I say that from experience with people I've worked with myself. It doesn't stop your flow. If anything, it creates more energetic juices within you to go, oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, exactly. But so here's the other part. So an example just happened to me just earlier today, where you're in flow when little intuitive hits just pop. And then when you follow them through, you find out that that's why. So what happened to me was this morning, a friend of mine privately messaged me and said, hey, Moira, I know you have a WordPress guy. I need some help. And could like just basically saying, can you put me in touch with this person? And
hook me up.
Normally, what I have done in the past is I refer lots of people to this guy because I really like the support he's given me over the years. And so what I was saying is that normally I would have just gone to my email and done a cyber intro between the two of them. But something paused me for a moment. And I said to her, yeah, I'll do a cyber intro later this morning. And in the meantime, I emailed him and said, how are you doing? And somebody wants some WordPress support. Are you still doing that? And guess what? He's not. And so this is what being in flow was like. Oh, that's how come I told her she had to wait, and why I decided to reach out directly to him and say,
connect.
Is this. So that's when you're in flow, because I didn't think it, right? I looked at it, the whole event, after the fact and thought, well, look at that. There was no thinking in there. It was just, this is what I say to you. And this,
that's your intuition just going, hang on, just let me check in and see if okay before I introduce the two. And I'm the same. Usually I would just go, oh, that's an easy 30-second thing, emailed it, gone, taken off my list, out of my brain, onto somebody else. But that's exactly, and that is when you truly know you're in flow in your heart and soul, because everything just goes, hang on a minute, let me just check in and see if he's okay.
Yeah. And it was a lovely message. Like, it actually really touched my heart to hear all the awesome things that's going on for him. But you know what the other part of his message was? At the end of it,
did you go? I was just going to say, at the end of it, did you actually say, do you know anyone else?
No, I didn't actually. I could have probably, but no, what was beautiful about the message was he is following his own flow and getting his own intuitive guidance, which is why he's not doing the WordPress stuff so much anymore. But and I said that to him. I said, now I know why I had to email you first.
Oh, right? That's really, and we forget that stuff. We just sometimes jump on the crazy train very quickly, without knowing, without even thinking. We just go, oh, that's a quick fix. Yep, I can just do that and carry on.
Right. But like you say, that is when we jump on the crazy train and we don't slow things down enough to say, what is my flow?
Oh, I know.
And take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because it is too easy to stay stuck in that loop. Like you were saying about your 14-year-old client, it's about creating these little checks, these little pauses to check in. How's my body? Am I hydrated? Am I rested? Am I breathing deeply? And by that, we can actually create so much more flow and success and align with what it is that we need to be doing in that moment, and then the next moment and the next, right?
Yeah, and I was thinking of us pre this call, where I rated myself as a 5, and then we brainstormed some ideas about what's going on in Moira's world, what's going on in my world, and aligning the two worlds and everything, and it just went straight into flow, and there was no questioning.
Yeah.
So when you've got two minds, like I have my mind and I am certain on certain things, and Moira's got her own mind, just like listeners have their own mind and they're certain. And when someone else comes into that bubble, that bubble, they can pierce your bubble and you can jump on their crazy train without staying on your own. But when you're in flow with not only yourself and you have certainty in what you'd like to deliver, and someone else has that same thing, it's about the two platforms coming together and standing side by side. And we just put your world, my world together, standing side. And it was just so, I'm not going to say easy, because easy is a word that I use quite often. So simple. It was so simple. And it was in flow.
It was simple, but the other part too, when you're in flow, you can feel the yes at your heart energy. And that's what in what we just did and what you're describing, that's what happened. Because I would say something and you would just feel into it and go, yeah, that feels right. And vice versa. You were saying something, I was like, yeah, okay. And then there was things that we would say, and it turned out we were both saying the same thing. Oh yeah, we'll do that one first. Well, that's actually just what I was going to say.
That's right. And that's when you're in flow, not only with myself, but with somebody else, because like us, there is the flow with yourself and then flow with others where you feel you have to compromise,
right,
to get them on your train or to stay on your train or rickety carriage.
That brings up a really good point, and a very powerful one, is that to really be in flow, you must, underlined, capitulated, bolded, be in alignment with your own flow first.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be in flow with anyone or anything around you until you're in flow with yourself. Now, when something, or like an opportunity or an idea or something shows up or presents itself to you that doesn't flow with where you're at, it can sometimes be a little bit of a, are you sure, from the universe? Are you sure that that's your flow? Are you sure you're in alignment with your calling?
But it can tested and tested and tested.
But it can also be an invitation, because let's face it, if you want something bigger, better, more successful, more expensive, you got to step out your comfort zone. And so then sometimes, and this is like a creation of our own, of something that says, no, don't do that. And what it is it's like you created an invitation to, it's okay, you don't have to go beyond your comfort zone, you can stay here if you like. So that for me, if that happens, I'm going to say thank you, but I just got the insight into, there's the invitation to come out of my flow, and I'm not.
And I think that's a thing that, I talk about inspiration versus desperation. And yes. I think that's a perfect one, because that's where you jump in and you hire people on desperation, or you get into a relationship on desperation, or someone says something and you jump. And when I say desperation, you jump on their crazy train, because we've all got a crazy train. There is no train. It's a crazy train to others. And you hold on sometimes when you're in flow or not. Right. And so we go, oh, that's a quick fix. That's what it is. I'll jump on that crazy train. And then you go, no, that's not me. How do I get off? Yeah. And that's where you've jumped into desperation to go, I just need this resolved. This person can do this. And that's where you get burnt, and you haven't owned your own inspiration, your own certainty, your own flow, because someone else has jumped in. And I find when you're not certain or you're out of flow, offers come along and we either jump on theirs or we go, hang on, and so it's about that trust, and the trust of knowing that you are on track
Yeah.
And it's okay to jump or don't jump right now. Like right here, we make that decision, yes or not.
Yeah. And so then that brings up the other part of it's giving yourself permission to tell the truth about yourself, access your truth, and trust. Because sometimes it is right to say yes to your own aligned inflow essence, and sometimes it's no. But we can't get into a story about, oh, this is the right one to take because. So like you're saying about the making a choice about getting into a relationship out of desperation, the story you might be having in your mind is, well, I better take this because this is all there is. Or it's checked off 2 out of my 7 boxes, and so that's good enough.
Yeah, no.
That's
don't compromise on 5 things. Yeah. and desperation, I believe, destroys us over inspiration. And inspiration is definitely in flow. When you're inspired, sure, it comes out in your conversations, your energy, your shoulders back. You know, when you talk to somebody, because you know when someone's in flow and then they talk really fast, you know, and you're just like, what? Slow down. And then they have to compose themselves. And when they repeat that stuff at a slower pace, you know they're in flow because they have certainty in what they're delivering out their mouth. So it doesn't matter if they talk fast or slow. It's that certainty in who they are and what they're trying to say or get their point across.
Absolutely. And that's the key, is knowing who they are. Because when we get into desperation, we may not actually be knowing or acknowledging or accepting who we truly are, right?
And I think quite a few people are worried about peeing off the other person, or people or group or society or religious or, you know, any of those things. And that's where our fears come in. So when our fears come in, it means you're actually out of flow. It's definitely, a fear can come in and you can check in and go, okay, is this actually right for me or not? Or is this an old story? Is this my intuition? Is this whatever it is? But get yourself back on that flow very quickly. Don't sit in that slumped up mode.
No, but if you can get into a place of seeing everything like that as a gift, because sometimes a negative thought or a limitation will come up. But if you accept that as a gift and look at it like I call it being a spiritual detective, or being an interested observer. It's like, oh, this is interesting. What did this come up for? Oh, it came up for because I was about to say yes to something that didn't serve my flow. And so thank you. And then I don't have to sit with it. Like you're saying, you don't want to sit in that slump or that energy that's pulling you down. But it's about not getting too engaged in a story of right and wrong, good and bad. It's when we really come into knowing, loving, accepting who we are, then it's all about experience. And that's all about flow, right?
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
One of my mentors, Dr. John DeMartini, actually says, if you see things on your way instead of in your way, you master your life. And I love that, because
that's
it just
beautiful. Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, because we often go, oh, this is a complication. Oh, this is delaying me from doing something, you know, and we see it in our way as a roadblock. But if we can see it on the way and go, okay, this is actually just allowing me to take time out, check in if it's really for me, if it's for my family, if it's if it's in alignment with who I am, whatever, yeah, let's get it. And that's when you do master your life, is when you see it as on the way.
I love that because, it reminds me of I think there's a cartoon somewhere that it shows like a road with this big boulder in the middle of the road. But if that boulder is in your way, you're going to stop. Whereas this cartoon, and I should see if I can find it, but it's saying it's an invitation to look at, are you going to go around the right side of it or the left side of it? Are you going to dig underneath it or are you going to go over the top of it? So it's an invitation rather than a block or a stop.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a very similar concept to what you're just saying, right?
So it's definitely a way. It's going, okay, what angle am I taking this on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's created for my pleasure, my experience.
Yeah, and I just was thinking about what is being in flow. We know when we're out of flow.
Yeah.
We can give you a million examples of when you're out of flow. You're not sleeping, your skin goes manky. Everything like
you feel cranky, people around you are cranky, there's traffic jams, there's
it's the kicking of the dog, everything goes wrong. You go to make yourself a cuppa and you forget that you haven't boiled the kettle and it's your last tea bag and you're like, oh, come on. And that's when and shite just gets real, because at that point when how many more warnings do you need to hear? I've done that kettle one before and you're like, damn. And then you're like, do I microwave it? No, do I not?
No.
But that's the stuff that actually, when that happens, how many warnings or how many alertnesses or how many moments do you need to actually go, okay, let's just stop. Let's just reflect. What's really going on? Why did I get up on the wrong side of the bed this morning? Do I need to go back to bed, think of gratitude, then get up on the other side of the bed just to change the whole pattern?
And maybe you do. But it's a really good point that you bring up, because that's the thing, is often in that pausing of I'm not in flow is what little psst in your ear were you ignoring? Well,
that's
take
the glitter.
This choice or go this way, or right?
Yeah. That's your glitter bomb. Right there is to go, okay, what's really going on? And that's when you're going to be back in flow, because you've just stopped all the chaos around you and you've gone, what's going on? And you're accountable to whatever it is. Whether you want to hear it or want to see it, it doesn't make a difference, but you're actually choosing at that moment to break that pattern and change your energy. Hand on your heart, breathe and go, okay, what's really going on here?
Absolutely. And so it's like about checking in about, is this story that I'm about to tell myself about the damn it, I didn't boil the kettle? Is it
I'm doing too many things at once?
Is it really what's going on? And you're absolutely right. Hand on your heart and taking some really deep breaths. Then you can actually allow yourself to see everything about your life is flowing through you. When we get into that energy of, oh, this sucks and I'm doing too many things, and that's a story, and that's also kind of buying into the idea that these things are happening to me. Oh, why does this always happen to me? It doesn't happen to you.
Never happens to my sister. Yeah.
But it is flowing, is acknowledging the flow of everything through you, and that you are part of the flow.
Yeah, so I encourage our listeners to go back to a moment, whether it happened today, yesterday, last night, getting into bed, go back to a moment when you felt you were out of flow and really question it. Just go, what was going on? Why did I get 6 bills, at once? What was really going on? Was there a moment that I questioned myself about my income? Like, why did I suddenly get money coming in going, oh, what am I going to spend that on? Then suddenly you get sick. There's a bigger picture going on the whole time around us, so I encourage people to go back to those moments when you're out of flow, because if you don't resolve it, bang smack, you get the next bigger one. And then bang smack, you get another bigger one. So it's wiser, if you do it in bed, you can do it in bed. If you just pen and paper and just go, what was really going on? If you don't want to write it down, that's fine, but it's not going to take you. I'm not saying put 2 hours aside to go, okay, yesterday I didn't boil the kettle. What was really going on? And I made myself a cuppa. What was really going on? And I'm not saying spend 2 hours digging around. You don't need to spend 2 hours digging around, because then you're clearly out of flow, and you're going to get more frustrated, and you're in desperation over inspiration. Absolutely. But hand on the heart's a great one.
Hand on the heart is a great one. Sitting and writing in your journal is a really great one too. But asking yourself, how do I feel about myself here, is a really important one too. So if in your analogy about not putting the kettle on, when you start to get irritated about yourself, put your hand on your heart and just say, how am I feeling about myself?
Yeah.
Right now, and feel it. Allow yourself to feel it. Maybe you've been running too much, or not allowing yourself those little pauses of calmness and of checking in with your heart's guidance, with being in alignment with the truth of who you are at your core. Right?
There's a lot of social media out there now, and it's it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real, I was like, oh, whatever. And then I pulled my head in and went, actually, you know what? It is, because I say to people, give yourself a break.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been working 12-hour days, no wonder you're an a-hole when you come home at the end of the day and you're going to have junk for food, because you haven't got yourself into some sort of pattern or routine that you're nourishing yourself, So it's okay to not be okay, because there's a bigger reason out there.
Right.
And I think we forget that. I think we forget to stop and smell the roses, and stop and just take a moment, and it's okay to not be okay.
Absolutely. And what comes up for me as you're describing that is that we've talked about the 4 agreements before.
I love those.
Me too. But the 4th agreement is always do your best. So when we are looking at, say yesterday, my best was at a certain level and I was tired, or I had overworked, or whatever it was. And then my best on another day, when I've eaten well, slept well, and had a 20-minute meditation, it's going to be different. But all too often with this, I'm not good enough because I need to always be operating at this level of okayness or productivity or flow. And we don't. It's okay to say, you know what, right now I'm in a funk. You don't want to stay there, but you tell the truth. You can't go around saying, oh, well, I can't say that because what will people think? Well, who cares? It's all about you telling the truth to yourself, being with what's happening with you, and then always remembering that all emotions are impermanent. So if you're feeling down on yourself, breathe into it, feel it, allow yourself to feel it. And as soon as you do that, it can go, okay, great. You did. Thank you for honoring me. Now you can go into flowing into the next better level of emotional awareness or consciousness, or whatever you want to label it.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, because yesterday my little doggy was sick, and everywhere.
Oh dear.
I just like to say, that was fun. So it stopped my flow of brainstorming office. Frustrated, didn't like him at all, didn't like that I was having to stop stuff, went into the ever so supportive parenting role, and so I just stayed on the couch in the sun, so he was in the sun, but just hugged him for about an hour and 20 minutes and just lay there, and he snored on me. And it was, and I was like, I've got things to do. And I couldn't pick up my phone because my phone was just a little bit distant. And I went, you know what? This is actually just perfect. This is me just connecting, taking time away. This is me being, so I didn't see the boulder. Well, I did see the boulder, and he was pukey, smelly dog boulder. And he's a little shih tzu, and he's so tiny and cute, but he had it everywhere there. But I was very frustrated. I was like, I've got a million things to do, in my mind. And then I went, you know what? It's okay. Just stop everything and just be there for him. And he fell asleep on me and snored. He's just a cute wee snorer and stunk. But it was perfect time for me just to be in flow with him. Yeah. And as I was there, I was just thinking about things to do. And then I'm like, and I actually fell asleep for a little bit in the sun. And then I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I've got a million things to do. But it was great because then later on that night I did my stuff because I could do that. So I took my laptop and I did some stuff later that night. And he is fine. And today he's actually a lot better.
Good. But that's beautiful with you flowing with what was going on, and you actually still got a whole bunch of stuff done probably, right?
Yeah, I did. And if anything, probably more. But
I was just going to say that.
Actually helped me.
I was going to just say that.
Ben the dog, he helped me. but if challenges us, we do have sick children, or we do have complications that come in, and the boulder gets dropped in front of us, and we choose to, are we going to sit here? Are we, and so, it was on the way. It wasn't in the way. At the start, I definitely saw it as in the way. I was very frustrated. And, and he was, and I reckon he got sicker when I was frustrated for that first minute or so, because he was limp and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to take you to the vet.
Yeah,
I haven't got time for this, all these. Yeah. And then when I just relaxed myself and my body and just realized it was on my way, he relaxed himself, and that energy just changed between us.
That's beautiful. So you got an invitation to drop out of flow, and then you chose to step back into flow and look at what happened. That was beautiful.
Yeah. And he was clingy last night. It just felt right. It just felt, but I will say for a couple of minutes, I was very disgruntled. I'm like, and my phone was just a little bit out of reach. Couldn't quite reach my phone. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just have to go with what I've got going on. This is it. Daren't disturb him.
No, if he's sick, he needed some comforting and some care.
Yeah. And so I needed it too. I needed just to stop. And so it was definitely about being in flow. Yeah. But I didn't see it at the start. So even the masters who know these strategies also get thrown off kilter, and we can choose to swim against the tide or go with it.
It's always about the choosing, right? It's and like you say, this life experience is all about that, because you could have chosen to just be all in resistance and keep telling yourself a story that it was a conspiracy to keep you pinned down on the couch.
Yeah. I've got a million things that needed doing. No, nothing needed doing. As long as it was all done, in a timely manner. Nothing was urgent.
Yeah. That's actually something that I used to use if I ever got stuck in traffic, is I would repeat to myself, because my A-type driven personality would be, oh my God, I'm going to be late. And then I start taking a deep breath and say, I will arrive at exactly the right time. And even if exactly that right time was, an hour late.
Late to somebody else.
To somebody else's. But it actually really starts to magically change things, because it'll be just simple things like the other person had an emergency to attend to, or the other person was delayed in the same traffic.
It's funny when it's funny when it aligns like that, and you just go, of course, why do I even doubt that stuff?
Exactly.
And you're like, you're a dick, dude. Why am I doubting that? Yeah, I do.
But that's when you go into the bit, but of course, and then coming into, but of course it works out that way, because when I'm in flow with my energy guidance, then of course it's all going to work out in the highest and best good and sometimes even better than you could ever have told yourself the story for in your mind.
Yeah, those stories, that's a podcast on its own.
Absolutely. Yes, we'll need to do one all about stories and who's telling the story anyway.
That's a million podcasts on its own. Yeah, and then rewriting it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think so I guess the thing with being in flow and not being in flow is just give yourself a break. Give yourself a break and know that it's on the way.
And know that you're creating it. You're creating it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you'd left earlier, Moira, you would have got there on time. So who created the traffic jam?
Well,
if you left earlier, you would have noticed the traffic jam. Yeah.
But maybe I created the traffic jam so that I did get there at the exact right time.
Yeah. Maybe you created the traffic jam to remind yourself about your intuition and getting yourself back into flow in your own philosophies.
And perhaps it allowed me time to just go over in my mind what I wanted to present or talk about, or, you know, or sing to the radio. I love to sing to the radio.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a performer, but I'm a performer in the car or out anyway. But can you see, listeners, how that was just a perfect example of when we thought we were out of flow and how it actually serves us. How it's like, oh, I like singing, and I appreciated the traffic around me, and I saw a car that I used to own, or and the sun's shining, or it's raining and I don't have to get out yet, and that's it. What value have you got right now with being out of flow? Because you're actually in flow. You're in flow all the time. And
absolutely.
It's, on your way.
Yeah. So are you going upstream or downstream?
Yeah. Or are you trying to swim sideways? Because that's just an ass. Okay. So I'll just say that one right
Don't
now.
Let's swim sideways.
No, because you'll be floating on your back like the fish do. You'll get that. So I'd love to hear what listeners think about today, being in flow, out of flow, what's going on in their world. Let us know, because look, we're actually really nosy, and well, I am. I know Moira is. We want to know what's your out of flow techniques, what's your in flow techniques. Let us know if this added value to you. If you, let us know.
Yeah, we'd like to know, because what does being in flow? Well, because to fulfill Deb's nosy nature. Well, actually, I'm nosy too. I'm nosy too. But no, we would be interested to know, how long do you sit in a sort of out of flow story before you go, oh wait, I can make a new choice, or I can, or I'm creating it because. Right? I created this traffic jam so I could focus on some breathing. How long do you sit in the traffic jam saying, this sucks and I'm going to get there late, before you change the story?
Because a week ago, Moira and I talked about something and we hadn't actioned it. And it just showed we were in flow and we went, yes. And we hadn't actioned it.
Yeah.
And now looking back, if we'd actioned it, results would have been very different. But now it feels right that we're totally in flow. Bang, it just happened very quickly. Mm-hmm. But I'm not beating myself up over those 2 weeks of not taking action, because it just showed how resistant it was at the time to deal with it, not deal with it, etc. But it just showed how perfectly it just brought us back to our own intuition of what we knew in our heart anyway. That's of right. Being back in flow. That's so right. It was perfect. Yeah.
And then when you took the action, it actually was really simple and quick too.
Like 35 seconds, okay, maybe.
None.
Maybe a minute.
But I love that.
But that's in flow and the timing's right.
Precisely. And that you don't criticize yourself or say, well, I should have done it last week. It's like, did it because I felt it. And that's the whole part of being in flow, is that sometimes it is best to delay it, or to go and do something else.
Yeah. To park it. Yeah. Oh, wow. Now I get to go, what number are you? So, listeners, before I ask Moira, you started off at a certain amount, listeners, Moira, and then you ended up with what did you end up with? So, Moira, you were 1.
I was a 1. Oh, she stuck her middle finger up at me.
You're a 1. Where are you now? She's going to put the other one back. No, you just scratched your face with a finger. So where are you now?
I would say I'm at a 0. I absolutely love talking about flow and sharing and feeling into it. So I am actually solidly at a 0 on this one.
Yeah, I'm absolutely a 0. I'm absolutely a 0 because this one, this podcast to me actually really captured a lot.
It did.
And
absolutely.
As you were talking, I was feeling in alignment with my body going, yeah, that feels right. Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, that's that's great. And I learned some stuff and I feel absolutely a 0.
So zeroed in on that one, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We nailed that one. So if no one else is a 0, for goodness sake, it's time to step it up and tell us, reach out to us. But I would love to know where people are at, because our purpose is definitely to change from a higher number to a lower number.
Exactly.
If you're not changing, then please, if you don't feel confident putting it in the group, then let us know privately, because that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
So thank you, listeners, for joining us yet again on another deliciously inspiring, motivated mindset with myself, Debz, and Moira.
And me, Moira.
And thank you, Moira, for bringing me to that 0 state. And thanks, everyone, for listening.
Yes, thanks, Debz. Thanks, dear listeners. Like Debz says, please reach out if you need some help in coming down to that 0.
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks you. Bye.